G'day viewers, how are you? It's Friday. Welcome to the end of the week. The post-Christmas period. Have you made it through this holiday period intact? More or less. It can be very difficult, more difficult than average. Like even if you have a good time, you might have too much of a good time, or it might just be a bit stressful. And obviously for a lot of people, this is close to the worst part of the year. So wherever you sit on the spectrum, you're here. Congratulations, you've done well. I'm proud of you. Look, not only making it to near the end of a year, near the end of a decade, I would like fuck any pedantic factwit who's going to say, the decade ends at the end of 2020. It's not a new decade to 2021. Get fucked. We're all talking about the 20s from next year. Take your pedantry, go fuck yourself with it. There was no year zero. Take your big zero, stick it up your clacker, okay? Nobody cares about your pedantic bullshit. Fuck off, you're boring. Ha! So, totally fucked up Friday, totally fucked up year, totally fucked up decade. There's a lot going on. But honestly, when I looked at things, I was going to do a retrospective of the year. I was just looking at the here and now in Australia. They're now much more fucked up than PM Scummo. And I know I've been talking about this a lot over the last week or two, because it's pretty goddamn important. Yes, we are still in the grips of unprecedented, out-of-control bushfires in Australia. Thousands of kilometres of fires, many of them out of control, many of them at what we call the critical level, which is mainly like, if you're in their path, you're fucked. No one knows what's happening. Sydney is basically encircled in fire, and this coming weekend is more heatwave conditions for the areas that have the worst fires. So as I have unfortunately had to say for the last month or so, when talking about how bad these fires are, the worst part is they are likely to get worse. And it boggles the mind that every time I talk about them, they're going to get worse. And this is very much a horrible sign of things to come. And as I have mentioned before on both recorded videos and live streams, Scummo took it upon himself as the nation was facing this crisis to not only just not deal with the crisis, but to fuck off out of the country for a family holiday in Hawaii. To which his excuse is, but the family was expecting me to do it. What am I? He actually tried to use his family as a shield for his own sociopathy. It's like, I honestly have quite a bit of difficulty understanding how he could have done this. How anyone with basic human decency could have done this. I think I've worked out why he did it, actually. The basic human decency, totally lacking. I'm just thinking, some of his staff must have told him, it's like, as he's going like, well, the country's on fire, everyone's terrified, it's all going to hell, I'm fucking off to Hawaii. Someone must have said to him, I don't think that looks good. I honestly don't think that looks... I think you should consider. But the holiday's planned. Yeah, I get that the holiday's planned. I get it's a bit of a bummer. But you are ostensibly the leader of this country's government. People may be expecting leadership from you. And if you just fuck off unannounced and then your office fucking lies about where you are, it could create quite the bad impression. But he went and did it anyway. And he came back after a week, possibly one day earlier than he was planning. And he's still got his defenders, which is fucking bizarre. And they go, what do you expect him to do? Because Scummo goes, oh, I don't hold a hose, mate. I'm not in a control room. I'll fucking tell that I'm going to round this out with what the fuck you should be doing, you worthless fucking garbage. And how does some random fucking loudmouth on the internet have a better idea of what you should be doing than you pathetic fucking loser? At least it's finally starting to bite him. The media is going in saying, that's it, he's done, he's over. Scummo's done. His bullshit's been called. He's not fit to hold the office. The clock's ticking. It's only a matter of time till he's gone. Which is hilarious, because politically it would be terrible to off him. But the media's going to feed into it. And you get someone like Dutton, who's just a scary sociopath. He's like Tony Abbott without the charisma. And I mean that to sound exactly as bad as it sounds. But he thinks he should be leader. He is apparently still unaware of how the overwhelming majority of the country think he's just an evil fucking psychopath. But it would be hilarious if they offed Scummo. Oh, it's just, the mind boggles. I'm having so much trying to work out. But we keep finding out more about how fucked he is. Like, they're saying, oh, he deserves a holiday. This was actually his third holiday this year. His second overseas holiday. So he's not exactly starved for holidays. And he was staying in a resort that's like $4,000 a night. And he got comped so many upgrades. The upgrades he was given were actually worth more than most people who are on, say, unemployment benefits get in an entire year. Like, he is that divorced from reality that he doesn't know why anyone's upset that he's indulging to that level while things are just going to hell here in this country. But that's him. And one of the things he said, it's a state problem. It's not a federal problem. Been handled magnificently at the state problem. I mean, at least the state premier in New South Wales, which is the hardest hit, Gladys Berejiklian, is trying to do something. But the actual minister, whose portfolio covers natural disasters, he's fucked off on a holiday too. And he's one of the ones who's on record as saying, no, we definitely can't pay volunteer firefighters. That would ruin the whole ethos of the volunteer system. So he's out there saying people who've been fighting fires, risking their lives, being cut off from their families around Christmas for a month or more, they don't deserve to be paid, but he deserves to be paid when he's not fucking working at all. And yes, holiday leave is an entitlement of any job. But just the optics of saying, no, volunteers who are risking their lives to an unprecedented degree, they don't deserve any recompense, but I'm going to fuck off on a holiday now. It's just the sociopathy required to be like that absolutely does my head in. And the complications go above and beyond, because it's not just the bushfires, it's the droughts too. It's the huge stretches of the country that are running out of water. Towns that will be without water. The area where I grew up in Western New South Wales is running out of water. And the water appears to have been not just incompetently mismanaged, but quite possibly criminally mismanaged. And at one point, the government made fucking Barnaby Joyce their drought envoy, and he was going to look into it and provide a report, and which he never did, but did charge the taxpayers over $600,000 in expenses for while he was doing this. And when people said, where's the report? It's like, oh, I sent it via text. So he spent over $500,000 of taxpayer money to send some text messages, which the government won't even provide under freedom of information. It's like, they're corrupt and stupid, and they think everyone else is they think the public is stupid enough to swallow this. Time will tell if people are actually that stupid. And Barnacle did this weird as fuck video. If you think I'm doing weird rants on videos, Barnacle did this weird thing he posted to social media where we're feeding girls and climate, and he's one of these fuckwits who just goes, oh, the climate just changes. And then he goes, we've got to bow down to God. We've got to bow down to God. That's the only thing that will save us from climate change. This is the person who, while he was wheeling out his family saying, we've got to stop the gays from getting married because it undermines traditional marriage, at that exact time, he was fucking one of his staffers. He was fucking around while using his family as a prop. And I've said it before, I'll say it again, I went to Catholic school. I read the Bible a lot. And Barnacle is one of those people who's super fucking lucky that none of it's real, that it's just fucking folk tales to try and give people a sense of some meaning in life. Because if it was true, it's right there in the pages. Him and his hypocrisy and his bearing false witness, not to mention his adultery, straight to fucking hell. So don't go invoking God, matey, because on the off chance a God exists, you're going to get struck the fuck down a long time before a fucking hedonist like me is, because at least I'm honest and consistent. You piece of shit. So, yeah, that's the kind of situation we're in. People saying volunteer firefighters shouldn't be bad. And I should, for people who don't realise about the volunteer firefighter system, particularly in the country in Australia, we have professional, permanent, paid firefighting units in the cities. And honestly, the money doesn't exist to really have a standing firefighting force through all the country areas. So we have a volunteer firefighting service where when there's a fire, everyone calls up and they go out and fight the fires. Now, traditionally, what this has meant over our bushfire season, which roughly runs from December to February, March, but now it was catastrophic in November, and it's probably still going to be critical in April next year. But what it had traditionally been is a volunteer firefighter could expect to be called up for a couple of days. Just a couple of days. You'd fight fires for a couple of days, and then you'd have a break. You might get called up a couple of times during the fire season, but it would be for a couple of days at a time. What has happened now is these volunteer firefighters have been fighting fires non-stop for well over a month. It's coming up on 2 months of these fires burning, and that means they can't go to their jobs. If the people are actually unemployed, and that's why they took up this volunteer service to give back to the community, they can't jump through the hoops that the government says they have to maintain their payments. So both the employed and the unemployed volunteer firefighters are at risk of having no money whatsoever, because what they're being asked to do is completely out of scale with what the service was set up to do. Now, you can point out that just generally we probably don't have enough money to pay for a full-time standing country fire service. But yeah, for the people who say, well, what do you expect ScoMo to do? What do you expect someone to do? Besides just the abstract lead, like show the idea that there's someone with their hand on the steering wheel, someone guiding policy, someone overseeing things that give people a bit of faith that we're going somewhere. Besides that abstract thing, I will tell you the fucking concrete things he should be doing. Short term, medium term, and long term. Short term, we are in a fucking crisis. Declare a national emergency. Put emergency measures in place. Make sure that the volunteer firefighters and their families are looked after. Make sure no one suffers financially because of the fact they're laying their lives on the line for months on fucking end. This is not rocket science. How do you have to be told you have to look after the people who place risks like this? And beyond that, talk to them. They are all saying in the media, we are desperately lacking in resources. Find what resources they need and fucking get it to them. You know what I reckon you should do? We go, oh, this is really expensive. You know what you should do? Fucking tax the mining companies whose products are causing climate change, which is exacerbating this problem. Just do one-off levies of, I don't know, a couple $1 million of these fucking vampires who are sucking billions of dollars out of this country. Fucking make them pay their way instead of dodging taxes and giving them breaks all the time. Pay to fucking save our country, you idiots. And in the medium term, for the rest of the fire season, for the next 6 months, again, talk to the experts. Talk to the people who are fighting the fires. Coordinate efforts through the states. Look for where the next likely trouble spots are going to be and fucking prepare for it. Just don't sit there with your thumb up your ass going, I don't hold the hose. I'm not in the control room. What do we want you? We want you to fucking make sure the people who do have the hoses, the people who are in the control rooms, have the fucking resources they need. And long term, and this is the one he'll definitely never do because he's a climate change denier to his core, you need to change government policy to aggressively fucking change the way we use fossil fuels. Cut down on the use of fossil fuels. Stop relying on coal mining to prop the economy up, because the short-term gain, and this is economists who say this, this is conservative economists who say this, the short-term gain from cheaply extracting fossil fuels is going to lead to catastrophic medium and long-term costs that will absolutely destroy the economy. I know you don't give a fuck about people. I know you don't give about the suffering of people. But economically, it's unsustainable. These companies who are ripping out the fossil fuels aren't paying the true cost of them. Everyone else gets to pay that down the line. For all these millions that are being made now in the primary sector, it's going to cost trillions down the line if it's at all possible to even survive. So there's it. That's your answer. A random ranting lunatic on the internet can come up with exactly what that fucking piece of shit scummo should be doing. Short term, medium term, and long term. And when you don't see your government doing or saying anything 1% as fucking intelligent as what this drunken idiot says, you gotta ask yourself, what the fuck is going on?